and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Maribel Carvajal de Salazar. Today we're here with Didier Moles, Alistair Mook, Tia Hopkins, that we're going to share about the amazing and reaching event we're going to have in our town. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
So the Open Doors Project and the Belmont Games Racism is getting together for an evening of music, storytelling, and a conversation about the experience and cultural heritage of Indigenous communities today. Is that right, Didier?
Yes.
So tell us, what are we going to get to it, when it is, and please tell us all.
Well, the event is going to take place on Monday, October 13th at 7 p.m. It's at the Black Box Theater at the Belmont High School. It's supposed to be at least 90 minutes. So if you're worried about bedtime for next school day, it's not that long. And everyone is welcome to participate. I will let Alistair talk a little bit about as to the specific of the event, but this is going to be a special treat for us in Belmont because it's billed as a musical conversation. So there will be music, and we have the amazing artist here with us, Tia. But there will be a talking component of it, which is like a Q&A and a conversation, maybe a little bit of storytelling. And for all these other details, I'll let Alistair and Tia talk a little bit more about that.
Sure, thanks, Didier. So my name's Alistair Mook. I'm a co-founder of an organization called the Opening Doors Project. Our mission is to amplify voices of color and advance interracial conversations about race. We founded our organization 4 years ago. The first program was one that I do with my friend Reggie Harris. I'm a musician, hence the guitars. And we started bringing our program, Race and Song, into theaters, into schools, performing arts centers, and we would talk about our lived experiences, the difference of living in our different skins, and use music to kind of open up the conversation. And based on the success of that, I started creating these new concerts with my partner, Stacy Babb, to bring in other performers to talk about their lived experiences. And in this case, I have my old friend, Tia Hopkins. I asked, Tia is a fantastic singer-songwriter. She's also a member of the Wampanoag tribe down here in Massachusetts. And she and her cousin, Linda Coombs, who's a historian, will be at this event. So Tia's gonna play some music of her own and some other contemporary. I'll let her talk about that. And then I'm going to sit down with Linda and Tia and we'll have a conversation.
Great. Tia, I want to learn about you.
Well, it's nice to be here today with Vicky Maribel and Alistair and Didier. And I'm looking forward to the event on October 13th at 7 p.m. I'm a performing songwriter, and I describe my music as Red Roots Americana. I created that as a way of really recognizing my Native American ancestry and honoring it. And I write about Indigenous topics. I write about non-Indigenous topics. I've performed my music, on 3 different continents, in the UK and Canada, Australia, US, across the US. And my cousin Linda is a wonderful, wonderful historian. And so I really appreciate the fact, Alistair inviting us to be part of this series, because I think it expands people's awareness about a Native American culture, and which is generally put off to the side to a larger degree within the greater within the greater society. So I always like to emphasize during these programs, and I did in the Roundhouse. Actually, the title is from its program I created several years ago to honor and amplify awareness about Native American music, traditional and contemporary, as well as culture. So my feeling about this is that having these conversations, it simply expands people's understanding of American history. So I think that's really the goal, to really provide more information so you have a broader perspective on the history of the country, past, present, and future.
Correct. And embrace diversity makes us stronger. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing and the awareness you're bringing to our town. Didier, how did you come up with the idea? How did you organize this?
Well, we have great partners with the Opening Doors project. But basically, I was thinking of a way to sort of like celebrate the full American history in its all entirety. Because oftentimes a lot of our modern celebrations and holidays or and whatnot, you know, they focus a lot on the people who are currently here. There's nothing wrong with that, except, well, there were people here before we came here. So in this sense, we are all immigrants except for all the native people. So the original, that they're still here. And oftentimes what you hear talk about as if Native American culture and indigenous cultures are like something from the past and we can just talk about in history books. But the truth is that this land that we currently inhabit was always inhabited by others. And particularly in a state like Massachusetts, I think it is tremendously important that something like this be recognized and even celebrated, but also to have some frank conversations and talks about what has occurred in the past. So the idea here is to bring the community together. And when I found out about the Opening Doors project through Stacy and Alistair's partner, it was mainly through a group of parents. And I believe, Alistair, I don't know if you were there for that. You went into one of our elementary schools and the parents were so impressed and they reached out to us, and then I got in touch with Stacy, and it was a match made in heaven, so to speak, because we always wary of putting these shows together, if you'd call them that, and then everybody just go home and nothing happens. So the fact that the Opening Doors project sort of embraced this culture of musical conversation and talk within the performing arts is tremendously important for a country, for a town like ours. And bar Belmont Against Racism, we couldn't have put this together without partners like Stacey and Alison. And we are so thankful for Thea to accept and the invitation, and for Linda to come on as well, because it's going to be a special event. That's all I can say. I am so amped and excited about it. And I just can't wait for the 13th, to be honest with you.
Yes, Didier. And Alistair, can you tell us a little bit more about how did Opening Doors project start?
Yeah, as I said, I created a program with my friend Reggie Harris, who's been he's a legendary folk musician, and we've known each other for 30 years, and we've had a friendship for all that time. But for most of that time, we didn't talk about the more uncomfortable things that most Americans don't talk about. Frankly, because I didn't have the toolbox to be able to have those conversations. So it took a lot of work on my part and a lot of work within our music field. I had been part of a couple of other organizations that I had helped get off the ground, which put me into contact with peers of color in a way that I hadn't been before. And between that and my own reading work and personal work, I was lucky to have a friend like Reggie that was willing to engage in conversations with me. And as we started talking more after George Floyd was murdered, we, as both as educated musicians, we started to see a lane for us to bring our conversations into public spaces. So that was kind of the birth of what became the Opening Doors project. And what Didier mentioned, we bring our programs into a lot of schools in Greater Boston and throughout New England and the Northeast. And Belmont has been an especially great town to partner with. We've been in several of the elementary schools. I used to teach regularly in the middle school, my social justice assembly programs. But we were met with a huge amount of enthusiasm in the schools where we brought our programs in, and they were the ones who connected us to Didier and to Belmont Against Racism. Um, and I go to so many towns. We partner with a lot of towns, and it's unusual to find an organization like BAR, which has been around as long as it's been, that has people like Didier who are as dedicated and committed as much time. I'm frankly jealous. I live in Melrose. We don't have anything quite like that, although we're working towards it. So we really found a great partner in Belmont Against Racism, and the Black Box Theater is a great space for us to be doing this. And I don't think any of us mentioned that the reason we're doing it October 13th is that it's Indigenous Peoples Day. And my understanding of Indigenous Peoples Day, and I'm a learner here, that's part of what this show will be, was me asking questions as a learner of my friends, but it's not necessarily a celebratory day. I think within Indigenous culture, Indigenous Peoples Day is also a day of mourning and reflection. So I think it's important to sort of contextualize that. This isn't, we're not throwing balloons up here. We're using the opportunity to have a conversation. And I think we all, maybe Thea, you can speak to this. I think we all have mixed feelings about these kind of designated months, designated days, because every day is Black History Month, every day is Hispanic Heritage Month, every day is Native American History Month. But sometimes it takes days and months like these to frankly get the attention of white folks to say, oh yeah, maybe I should be paying attention to things outside of my sort of more familiar circles. And so we're using the opportunity of Indigenous Peoples Day, but I hope one of the things people take away with them is this is something that all of us should be thinking about all the time.
All the time. Tia, tell us why and when and how you have been developing this awareness to the community.
Well, I started the program in the Roundhouse a few years ago, and it made its debut in Providence and through First Works. And the idea is really simply to amplify awareness about Native American culture and the fact that we're still here. Because there are situations where people will say to me, oh, I didn't know there were any more Wampanoags around, And I'm like, no, we're still here. And so I think that there's a need, there's a need to expand awareness. And within the larger Native American community, which I'm part of, in Canada, Australia, throughout the world, people that I know, there's a tremendous amount of revitalization happening, and it's really it's very powerful. And so I'm very much invested in continuing to amplify and expand this knowledge, not only for the larger community, but for the Native community, because there will people that will come up to me after I've done a show or that I don't know, and they'll say, oh, we found you on YouTube. A couple of years ago, I was playing in Canada, and these two young Native American women came up to me and said, we're inspired by what you're doing, and it encourages people to do what they want to be doing, but people need to see your face, so they can identify with you. And it's very, very important. But it's not only Native people. I have young women coming up to me saying this as well, of all different backgrounds. So it's like, and men too sometimes, but it's like you have to get out there and just show that you're there. So I really appreciate the fact that that Belmont has this program and that Alistair has developed this program. And these topics aren't always easy to to bring to the table, really, and have an open, frank discussion, because there's a lot, there's so much that has not been discussed in the past, that it becomes kind of a delicate balance, having these conversations. But there has to be a starting point. So this is wonderful that these programs are developing the way they are.
That's right. And it's gonna be, we talk about conversation. It's gonna be like panel discussion, or you're gonna receive questions from the audience. How is it gonna work?
So after Thea performs, she and I and Linda will sit down and have a conversation among us, and then we'll open it up and we'll have some question and answer time with the audience. And I want to just amplify a little bit, because people would, if they go into the description on our website or Belmont Against Racism's website, they'll see this. But I think we should say here, we didn't just pick two members of Wampanoag tribe out of the blue. I have a very old relationship with Thea. We started as singer-songwriters in Boston 30 years ago. And she is known as a real social justice writer. A lot of her songs, whether they're about indigenous culture or other things, have been focused on social issues. So she's a very natural peer for the work we're doing. She's had a song that was recorded by Peter, Paul, and Mary. She won the Great American Song Contest with a song she wrote about Emmett Till. So, this is more than just about indigenous culture. It's about sort of showcasing a great musician doing their work who happens to be part of an identity. And Linda also is a published author. She's one of the main educators at the Plymouth Plantation in the Wampanoag Indigenous program. So we are very lucky here to have two real experts in their field.
Yes, and thank you, Tia, Alistair, and Didier, for the work you're doing in our town to bring awareness. And as a Hispanic woman, I really appreciate this. We need to have this conversation, even though sometimes can be muted, but we need to speak up. So thank you very much. Let's remind our community dates and time.
So it is on Monday, October 13th at 7 p.m. at the Black Box Theater at Belmont High School. Please, space is limited, because unlike past events that Bar has done, there is actually a real limit this time. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, the event is free of charge, of course, but you really need to register, because we will be scanning tickets at the entrance. And finally, I just wanted to add one quick thing about Linda. This is funny, as a young kid in the 90s in Boston, it was her exhibit at the Children's Museum that actually opened my eyes on Wampanoag culture. And it was called We're Still Here. And I still remember, and for those of you who haven't heard from Linda, I mean, she's a force of nature. You gotta come and listen to her. She's a great educator. She's been for a while now. Finally, I also wanted to give a shout out to, we are fortunate here in Massachusetts. We live in a state where we have resources like the Mass Cultural Council, who supported this. We have other organizations that have issued grants that allows us to hold this in for free. Places like Someone Else's Child, as well as the Filmmakers Collaborative. But also a special thanks to Belmont Public Schools, especially the Department of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Wellbeing. We are fortunate to have a new director. He has really helped us get the Black Box Theater, and so everyone kind of pitched in for this to happen. We are still asking for donation. Thing is free, but please, when you reserve your ticket, go to our website, especially either Belmont Against Racism or the Opening Doors Project. So if you kindly make a donation, we'll be splitting it within the two organizations, because this would really help us provide more programming like this in the future. And we thank everyone in advance for showing an interest. We're waiting for you on the 13th. It's gonna be a good thing for the community to come together into some reflection, as well as to listening to great music.
That's right.
thank
Thank you, Didier. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing interview. I'm really happy to learn more. I need to register. We will check on the BelmontAgainstRacism.org website. So you can register as well. To all our neighbors, check out October 13, 7 p.m. at the high school. We're going to be there to learn more about the Opening Door Project and learn more about the indigenous that are here. We're still here and we are thriving and we want to learn more, and we belong, right? Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we'll see you on the 13th. That was it for today. I'm your host, Maribel Carvajal de Salazar. See you next time.